Hi there, my name is Patino. I am from HDFS 294, and today I'm going to be talking about the topic of Naturalia, which is by definition reclaimed by nature. On our agenda today, we're going to be talking about 5 specific regions or places around the world that have been reclaimed by nature. My pronunciation of these may not be 100%, so I'm sorry for butchering it, but again, you can find all of these online. We're going to be talking about La Chapelle, Belange Alviolon in France, the New World Mall in Bangkok, the SS Carmel in Sydney, Australia, the Rakesbrück Devil's Bridge in Germany, and the Tunnel of Love in Ukraine. The first one we're going to talk about is La Chapelle, which translates to the Chapel of the Angel with the Violin. There is not a lot of information, sadly, about this chapel online, except that it was established in France and built in the 19th century. For reasons that are unknown now, it is not accessible to people anymore and has been reclaimed by nature. And this is the first place that kind of got me interested in this topic and got me researching. This is how it looks now. As you can see, there's a bunch of shrubs and other weeds that have grown on the floor and are traveling up the pillars. Next, we're going to talk and look about the New World Mall. The New World Mall was built in Bangkok, Thailand in the 1980s. Due to many infrastructural problems and a fire, for example, that was lit inside of the mall and affected the ceiling, it was completely abandoned and people weren't allowed to go in it. However, since there wasn't a ceiling, it allowed the mall to be exposed to different types of weather, for example, rain. The rain then caused sitting bodies of water, which attracted a lot of mosquitoes. So there's a lot of houses and people around the mall. These mosquitoes were becoming like a pest. Therefore, the people around the mall introduced fish such as koi and aquatic plants in order to fight these mosquitoes. Now we can see the koi living in the ponds inside of the mall, and we can see the aquatic plants climbing the escalators and the building overall. It has become a tourist destination, and nearby residents want to preserve this natural mall and its ecosystem within. This is how it looks now. As you can see, there's a bunch of weeds growing up the escalators, and then there's a bunch of fish. There's thousands of fish. There's koi and other types. Obviously, fishing is banned there because the fish are there in order to help the people around there. Next, we're going to talk about the SS Carmel, which is in Sydney, Australia. It was built in 1911 in order to help transport different materials in and out of the bay. However, now it has become a popular tourist site with local and foreign photographers taking advantage of the groves and the shrubs that have grown within the 110-year-old ship. This is how we can see it looks now. On the left bottom side, we can see a top view of the ship, and you can see all the mangroves that have grown. And then my favorite picture is on the right, obviously, and you can see the boat in the sunset. Next, we're going to talk about Rakesbrück, which is one of around, I don't remember how many there are. I think there was around 60 or more what are called European Devil's Bridges, which are located, this one in particular is located in Gladbach, Germany. It was commissioned in the 1860s and now has been closed up for preservation. These bridges were built in order to get from one section of the forest to another. However, there are many urban legends, for example, of this bridge that kind of cause people not to want to cross it. For example, there's a legend of the people who made the bridge, that they made a pact with the devil so that the bridge is able to stay up and keep its shape. However, the first person to cross it, it's his soul or her soul would belong to the devils. So a lot of these legends cause people to be, like a little hesitant to cross the bridge. And because of this, it isn't as maintained. So it has been reclaimed by nature. A lot of these have been closed off for preservation, and they have become engulfed with weeds and shrubs. Around the bridge, you're going to again find a lot of indigenous birds, trees, waterfalls, and more. And in some bridges, since they've become tourist destinations around the region, they have built hotels or other cabins in order to make profits for the people that live around the area. This is how the bridges, some of the bridges look now. The top right-hand one is a little blurry, and I apologize for that. But in the left-hand top side, you can see one of the Devil's Bridge perfectly. And it was made, which is pretty cool, I think, in a perfect half circle, so that when the sun is reflecting perfectly on it, you can see a full circle with the water. And I really like the middle bottom picture where you can see like the circle completely like under the water, how it's the reflection. And then finally, we're going to talk about the Ton of Love. The Ton of Love is located between Klevin and Orzhin village in Ukraine. It is home to train that transported plywood and other materials in and out of Ukraine, and a factory that's built at one of the ends of the tunnels. And a lot of this material was transported. I believe it was during like a time of war. Therefore, they wanted to hide the material that was being transported. So they grew trees at the side of the railroads in order to hide the material. However, now the train still runs, sometimes transporting the same plywood from the trees which are on the forest, but it has been closed down to the factory, and the trail continues to be an attraction site that is being preserved and taken care of by the public today. The factory itself, like before it closed down, it tried to like get rid of a lot of the trees that were growing around the train. However, people petitioned and they got the region to be pretty much like preserved. So no one's allowed to cut down the trees. They're only allowed to trim them and take care of them because it's become a tourist attraction. But again, people need to be careful because there has been one accident of a 38-year-old woman who has been ran over by the train. I mean. This is how the Ton of Love looks now. And I try to get some of them in different seasons. For example, in autumn and in winter. And the top left-hand side, you can still see the train running. Overall, there's a lot of examples of Naturalia around the world. Two other ones that I really enjoy reading about and I encourage people to read about is the Heinlein, which is an abandoned railway in New York. It is on the top, like it is an elevated railway. Therefore, a lot of like the forest or there's a lot of gardens that are being grown around the area that is open to the public again. So they're able to, look a little bit of nature and also look at what New York has to offer, which is all like the tall buildings and everything. Another example is a sadder one, which is the exclusion zone surrounding the Chernobyl nuclear plant. Sorry. There was a disaster in the nuclear plant, and for these reasons, a lot of like radioactive material was kind of exposed to the public. Therefore, they made an exclusion zone, which is a designated zone where no one's allowed in it. So everything was abandoned, including parks, houses, literally everything, stores. So here you can see a picture of like a little carnival or like fair that was established in the exclusion zone. However, now it's closed down to the public. And you can see a lot of weeds and everything growing around the amusement park gates, for example, the fairs. These are my resources that I used in order to make this presentation. And attached to this presentation is going to be a Word document that has more information about each of these designations, and it's going to have more articles attached with it. Thank you. I hope you like this presentation. Have a good day.